you and your brand up your game on LinkedIn. Please meet Shivram Kuppachi, the quarterback and CEO. Welcome, Shivram.
Pleasure.
Shivram loves to interact and engage with entrepreneurs. We have had multiple Aarohana sessions with him. His insights are also featured on our blogs. So please do look them up. And you can find all our earlier Aarohana sessions on the NiceOrg YouTube channel. Joining him is Neeraj Jayachandran. Born in the age of social media, Neeraj is a Gen Z star of Zamstars. His astute knowledge of current trends and people sense. With that, his strength are his awareness of the audience and curating campaigns to suit the brand audience. He brings in quirky sense of style to help brands break away from the basics and go the extra mile. Welcome, Neeraj.
Thank
We
you.
also have with us Meghna Gowda, the Gen Z brand warrior at Zamstars. She has an incredible zest to learn and enjoys meeting new people. As a brand manager, she lives and breathes the brands that she works with. We are sure this is going to be a terrific session. Um, Hang in there, everybody. Joining me is Rachit Maheshwari, who will be the moderator, a seasoned marketing professional himself. He has experience across social media, content, and other facets of marketing. Rachit is currently the social media manager at Wipro. Hi, Rachit.
Hi, ma'am. It's
Hi,
great to
hi.
be a part of the session.
So, without any further delay, let's get started. On to you, Shivram and team.
Thank you, Chitra. Thanks, Rachit. Thanks, team. Nice. Let me present my screen. Give me a second. Are you all able to see it, Chitra?
Yes, Shivram.
Fantastic.
Please continue.
So, all the audiences, thank you for joining. It's a very loaded deck. Usually after the presentation, we send it to Nice team and they circulate it to all of you, whomever is needed. So we'll skip the decks faster. The intent of the next 35 minutes is to share our experiences, working with about 275 odd brands. We have learned something about what audiences, what brands try to do on LinkedIn as a platform, right? As part of our social series with Nice, we present you Connect to Who Matters. Today, the topic is about bridging the audiences and the brands on LinkedIn. If you look at what LinkedIn has done, it's basically brought all of us on the same platform where we as professionals, we can collaborate, engage, and exchange conversations, connections, and in a way, brands try to gain business through this social network that we're trying to build on. As I always say, numbers don't lie. So let's look at some of the interesting numbers that what LinkedIn is offering to us. Of the 7 billion people, 830 million, we have active users on LinkedIn today. Okay. And out of that, 50% of them use LinkedIn daily. That's almost about 415 million users are there on daily basis on LinkedIn. That's the kind of user base. 58 million companies are registered around the globe on LinkedIn. And India actually it holds the second rank in the world with about 87 million users active on LinkedIn. So this gives the size and opportunity that we have for us to use this platform as a very effective platform for both individuals and brands to engage socially with different people. The best platform for connecting with customers, few of the metrics that we look at, 94% of marketers use LinkedIn to share content. And #1 rated app on social media for lead generation, according to certain research. We're given the links down there. This lets us know why this platform is so relevant for businesses and entrepreneurs to use effectively to engage with audiences. I was talking to Neeraj and Meghna, and one of the things that we got to see is that how do we actually present ourselves into LinkedIn, right? So there is a real life, there's an alter ego. And as what not just LinkedIn, a lot of social medias have done to us is that how do you actually personify us larger than life and try to present ourselves, sometimes posture ourselves on these social platforms, right? And I'm sure all of the 50 odd audiences who are here can relate back to you in terms of how this platform is making us to be the way we want to be on these platforms. Now, while all these 830 million people, 58 million companies that are there, who, what, why, and where, why do we want to be there? While we want to connect, we want to sell brands. One key important thing that we have realized it working with brands is that if you try to sell to everyone, then you'll end up selling to no one. This is one of the biggest lessons that Neeraj, myself, Meghna, we learn from working with brands. So hence we need to be extremely critical to do targeted marketing, right? And that's what we're going to look at. And imagine the digital noise. There are 82.6 million new posts that go in a month on LinkedIn, and you are just doing a scroll with your fingers. So just underneath these fingers, in a month, you're actually having 82.6 million posts, and you need to stand out on that one of the posts for you to engage with your audience. Hence, it is all the more important for us to be so more targeted in what we try to communicate on LinkedIn. So how do you do that? Do we have a magic wand? No. Do we have a formula that you just cookie cutter it and do it? No. These are some of the experiences that we as a team have found out, and we practice it and we refine it day and go. So our mantra is research, execute, analyze, and it's a cycle. So there's no just research and then execute, analyze, get done. So analyze goes back to research, and it's a continual cycle that we keep doing both for individuals and the brand as we go through brand cycles on LinkedIn. What does research? A lot of people say, and this is a term that millennials use called as stalking. To honestly, we have to stalk on social channels, right? But that stalking, we call it as research. The way what we need to stalk, if we are able to do it, we call that as research. And it's absolutely important for both brands and individuals to do that research, right? And what do you mean by research? We again try to put three things. Everything is nice to have a structure and a framework, to remember better. So for us, the research means it's discover, define, and design. What do you mean by define, discover? I think if you look at our audiences, the 830 million people, 58 companies, the 15 million companies that are there, it's our interest to now for us to discover who are my primary audience, who is my secondary audience, who's my tertiary audience. So let's take an example of one of the nice cultural entrepreneurs who are trying to sell, say, a game board to a kid as a company, Indian crafts game board to company. The primary audience is the parents or the kid, based on how you look at it, right? The parents make the purchase, the kids makes the actual use of the game. So one of them is a decision maker, which is the parents. The influencers are the kids because they actually go and they want to play that game. Sometimes the grandparents actually acts as the benefactors, right? So they may not be able to take decision of buying, or they may not instigate the buying, but they may be the benefactors. So we as marketeers, we should have this holistic view of who that audience is. We need to constantly do the discovery process as part of our research, right? And how well do we know our audiences? It's important for us to know that why these audiences are there, whether it is primary, secondary, tertiary. They're there for multiple reasons. Could be for career goals, could be for connecting with people, looking for opportunity, looking for high quality content, be productive and successful, right? So all these reasons are something that we need to start defining as part of our research, discover as part of our research. At this point of time, I would like to take a small poll, Rachit or nice team. The first poll, just wanted to know the audiences so that I can use that context to continue further, please. Audiences, we're having a small poll for you guys. It will just come in the screen in the next couple of seconds. So why do you think people are engaged on LinkedIn mostly? Please choose one choice. Better jobs, networking with people, for consuming content to gain more knowledge, to sell services or products, or for personal branding. We'll give about 10 seconds. We'll use that to just understand the sample size of this audience as a sample, and then look at how to construct our further conversation. Okay, we'll give another 5 seconds and then we'll close the poll. Sure. Can you just close the poll, please? Is it possible for us to see the results of the poll by any chance? Okay. We are having almost about 50% are networking people and 25% is for personal branding. Fantastic. Okay. And we are about 11% for better jobs and 7% to sell products and services. That's an interesting insight. I'll close this. So now we know exactly like how our audience breaks up from 7% to about 50%. There are people who are there for different reasons on LinkedIn. And that's part of our discovery process as part of what we do. And during this time, we also need to start defining, once we know the discovery, defining them. We define them. We think that the minimum thing that we should define our audiences is by age, the position, the location, and the industry. If we're able to define them at this level as demography, I think we have a fair shot to design the personas, what we call later, right? There are multiple more parameters that we can have, demographics of audience definition, but I think these 4 things minimum, we should be able to define our audiences. Moving further, now for us to design based on the discovery and design as part of research, before we actually go to the next stage, which is called execution as part of our mantra, it's important for us to know about the intent and behavior of these audiences that we have discovered and defined, right? Our job as marketeers or our entrepreneurs is to move these audiences based on the intent and behavior from an awareness to advocacy through knowledge and attitudinal change. And for that, there's a method in which we try to write content, which we'll talk about in a later part. But the key part here in the design is to understand the intent and behavior of these audiences across this journey, from awareness to knowledge to attitudinal change to advocacy. Usually it is a linear, sometimes you may probably hop on, but as marketeers and entrepreneurs, we need I personally suggest that we constantly put a mind map that it is going linearly from awareness to an advocacy as a sequential process, right? Once you do that, you actually define. I strongly request my audiences to start defining the persona by words, because many of the time we say that, okay, my audience is 42. I've seen actually entrepreneurs writing that my audience is 40 to 45 women. They like sports. They are CXOs, right? Many times you actually start fumbling by doing wrong targeting audience. I strongly advocate people to write personas, write lines about them. For example, we took for one of the customers we have, say, give a persona name called Disha, for example. She's an HR professional. We write them. Disha works in human resources for an IT firm. She uses LinkedIn predominantly for hiring. She engages on people posts for looking for job, and that's her persona characteristics. She's quite familiar with social media and keeps herself updated with industry update. The key thing is that industry update, which means that we should be looking at the groups. She likes to spend time out with the friends on weekend, which means that typically on weekend, she's not active on weekends. Her personality, she's quite trendy and very ambitious. Important insights for me when I define and design my personality. Let's look at a second design of a persona. Another person by name Mr. Gopinath. He's a CEO. He's the face of his company. He spends his free time going through LinkedIn. Mostly CEOs have free time, trust me on that. He makes sure to comment on posts related to his company to create awareness of it. He's not a very active person on other social chat platforms. He makes sure he updates his LinkedIn bio every week and does a post regarding the current trends. Personality, loyal, simple, and proud. It's very important for us as marketeers or as entrepreneurs to write these personas. Don't restrict to 1, 2. If you want to write 10 personas, please write them, because when you start going downstream in communicating, these will help us a lot. Okay, and I'll show you how it will help us. So we spoke about the first part, which is all about research. Now, based on the research, let's now execute using the channel called as LinkedIn. There are 4, again, frameworks work best. In the research part, it was a 3-step framework. In the execute part, it's a 4-step framework. Connect, communicate, amplify, convert. Quite simple, not very complicated. The first step is connect. What do you mean by connect in terms of execution, right? Which means that we want to first connect with people, and then we will start to engage and amplify them. For me to connect with people, I need to ensure that my page, personal and my brand page, is the hygiene factors are taken care of. What is the kind of content I try to write there? And then how do I prepare my content calendar? Very important for me to organize myself, for me to connect it, right? And hence comes this answer to the 25% of the audiences who have told that they're looking for personal branding. It's a very important step for you to do when you actually looking to start the journey of connecting as part of the first step of execution, right? And what is personal branding? Like, a famous person says, you have no idea how it works. It's quite impressive. It's only for us to go back and ensure that we try to make sure that people make ourselves available to be connected with people. Again, how do you do personal branding? A simple framework of three things. We want them to register us. We want the audiences to register us. We want the audience to remember us. And we want the audience to recall about us when they want us to do. Go back to the Philip Kotler days. There are two things in marketing, TOMA and ITP, which is top of the mind awareness, intent to purchase. So most of the marketeers are communicating to audiences during the TOMA phase because the intent to purchase happens when there's an intent to purchase. Most of the times audiences are working towards the TOMA. Hence, as a personal branding, I need to ensure that I register myself in the minds of the audiences. I'm ensuring that I'm remembered in the minds of the audiences. I ensure that I've been recalled in the minds of the audiences when there's an intent to purchase. The first two things is for the TOMA. The second one is for the ITP. Now, there are multiple ways you can do actually your personal branding, right? You can have a visual mnemonic. You can have a creative language. You can create certain things that you create an avatar of yourself that you use to communicate across your social channels. Again, guys, remember 830 million people are there on LinkedIn, 58 million companies that are registered on LinkedIn. So you need to stand out of the crowd. So you need to find a way that you stand out, right? So that people, when they associate with you, and that for me is personal branding. You know, the language is the same, the metaphors are the same, the anecdotal examples are the same, so that over a period of time, there's a recall for people that, okay, I'm connected to this person, I'm able to remember this person or the brand, and I'm able to recall this person or the brand. So LinkedIn banners and photos are very, very critical as part of the personal branding. Please use humor. Okay, there's a lot of things I've heard from entrepreneurs and startups that LinkedIn is a very stiff and a very businessy type of a platform. Instagram and Facebook are more casual. Please know the people behind us, every page on every channel is a human. So they love humor. So please use humor. It's absolutely acceptable. Make the personalized bio section effective. So people want to, before they connect with you, they want to read about you. So spend that extra 5 minutes to write these sections better. Okay. Humanize the content, right? Put the faces, put expressions. People like to see, imagine a day in a life of all of us, right? We go through morning to night. I was just talking to Ms. Chitra ma'am before this conversation. So many things go in our life. We need to have that smile when some content comes to us, or we need to at least have saying that it looks interesting. Can I lift my thumb and engage the content? So humanizing content always helps. So please ensure that you humanize your content too, right? And have a variety of content as part of personal branding. Don't be stereotypical, right? Have collage, have video, create humorous videos. Even the images that you put, make sure that the images actually are taken in a way that in that 86.6 million posts that are going in a month, you are able to take your thumb up. That's your intent. Our intent as marketeers is to remove the thumb. That's the first job as marketers we need to do. So a small pop-up picture actually makes people to lift the thumb and say, okay, what's interesting? Let me look at that, right? All these things are part of a personal branding, right? So you do it consistently, systematically, day on day. At every day, you're actually building your personal brand. There's no measure to say that have I reached my personal brand. Every day you're doing this. Trust me, we are actually enhancing our personal brand value, right? That's about connection. Next, let's go about communication, right? Now, in terms of communication, there are two things that I would like to make people understand about communication. What is the type of a post that we want to do? And what is the date and time of the post that we want to do? These are very critical things about communicating in LinkedIn about posts, right? I told about the journey of awareness to knowledge to activity change advocacy. And I told about this based on intent to behavior, previous slides, right? Now we know about our audiences. We have done the research, which is define, discover, define, and design. Then we went about communication. We were able to connect to the right audiences. We have defined personas. Now we know a little bit about our audiences, right? Now we need to ensure that the content that reaches to them, and we have seen the poll. Some people want to network, some people want to do personal branding, some people want to sell, some people want to consume content, right? So our content calendar should have a mix of 4 kinds of posts, which we call as informational post, instructional post, emotional post, promotional post. Based on your research and where you think your audience's journey is based on intent behavior, you mix the right mix of content as part of a content calendar. If you're doing 12 posts on LinkedIn in a month, Don't make sure that all 12 are informational, all 12 are instructional, all 12 are emotional. You become stereotyped, right? So please have a right balance mix so that there is an awareness amongst the people and they look forward to engage with you on this platform effectively. Again, there are multiple kinds of posts. As part of LinkedIn, we have static posts, we have carousels, we have videos, we have polls, we have articles. And when do you choose all of them? There's no standard rules for that defined by LinkedIn. We think, I mean, between myself, Meghna and Neeraj, what we do is that based on the content, the purpose, and the context, we define whether we need to do a carousel, we need to do a video, we need to do a static post. Sometimes polls is quite interesting to engage with people. Sometimes to establish thought leadership, I write an article, right? So you as an entrepreneur can ensure that you have a mix of all these kind of posts as part of your content calendar. And you can have a mix. So I can have certain information content as polls. We can have emotional content as videos, instructional content as carousels, informational post again as a static post, and emotional content could be an article. So this is how you need to sort of experiment month on month, engaging with your audiences. Okay. Moving on. Now we have connected as part of execution. We have communicated. Now it's important for us to amplify that so that the purpose for our presence on LinkedIn is established, right? Meghna, can you take on from the amplification and allow me to talk about lifespan of a post? You do the 1, 3, 4, and 5 and come back. I'll come back to on the lifespan of a post, please. You're on mute.
Sure, Shavran. So now that we are talking about connecting, communicating, we come for amplify. So now when I say that I have posted a static post or a carousel or anything, I need to make sure that people, my audience, look at the post. Not only like today I have posted one post and they can forget about it. So what are the ways that I can make sure that my post will reach to the maximum number of people throughout I would say a lifetime, like days, not only one day, but a post. So how do I make sure that I do that? Paid promotions, post boosting. So post boosting is one thing that we do when we want to promote our content, like a certain post or an article that we do on our page. So post boosting is the best way that we can amplify our content, our page content. LinkedIn sponsors content. So here in this paid promotion, we can either promote one of the content that we have posted on our page, or we can go to the campaign manager and create a different ad altogether. So the purpose of that is to increase the brand awareness, thought leadership, and the follower acquisitions. Best way to reach your target audience. LinkedIn dynamic ads. These are the kind of ads that you usually see where they will just randomly pop up on the side that, hey Neeraj, do you want to join this company? Mostly used for like getting people on board or looking for jobs, or they want to read a certain article. For brand awareness, again, and for follower acquisitions.
So mostly actually Neeraj uses this. Neeraj, you want to add 2 cents on?
Yeah, I'll just add 2 more sentences.
Please, just for audience benefit.
Surely. If you could go back to one slide. Yeah, so I think sponsored ad is something that we largely use for brand awareness, to get more engagement, to get more reach on single post. And this also comes with a follow button. So where the boost, like when you boost a post, it doesn't happen. So this is used for, it's also a way to get more followers. And the next, Shivram, yeah. So dynamic ads are used basically mainly for follower acquisition. And it's also brand awareness. We can't have an image. So the difference between the both of them is that for dynamic ads, there are no images that are put out. There's just a message that goes out as a small write-up, but we don't have an image that can be put out to the audience where we're explaining what our brand does. And this is mainly used for just brand awareness and follower acquisition. And it's a very cost-effective method.
Yeah. Before going to the next slide, I want to go to the poll number 2, please, if you don't mind. I want to take the poll before I go to the next slide, please. Organizer, can we have the poll number 2, please? What do you think? What do you find the most difficult on LinkedIn? Getting better engagement rate, reaching the right audience, getting people to click on your CTA, which is click to action link that you want. What do you think? We have about 70 odd people. What do you think is difficult for you guys when you actually engage on LinkedIn or when you try to engage with audiences on LinkedIn, please. We'll have about 10 seconds for the responses. We'll give 5 more seconds. Yeah, we can close the poll, please. Let's see the responses. So about 50% says reaching the right audience, 38% says getting better engagement rate, and about 12% says that getting people to click on the CTA. So reaching the right audience is very important, because if you look at the previous poll, the two key things was for networking people and personal branding, which means that people are trying to reach the right audiences, right? Now, how do you do that? How do you do that while we have boost and we talked about different kind of post formats. We looked at different kinds of amplification of boosting as well as dynamic ads and static ads. How do you do that? How do you ensure that these problems that we don't fail? We in Zamstress call it a lifespan of a post, right? Quite simple, but in our experience that we have done, people don't do that. They make a post on LinkedIn and they forget about it. For example, if you have a 12 post calendar in a month, and you say that every Tuesday I do a post, and then I do a post on Thursday, they do a post on Tuesday, and then whoever is actually managing the platform forgets that Tuesday post, now focuses on the Thursday post. We call it as a create a post for a lifespan. For example, you do a post on day 1, day 2, ensure that your employees actually engage on the post by liking and sharing. On day 3, on the same post, please ensure that you tag the people. On day 4, you share it on different LinkedIn groups that are relevant for you. In day 5, ensure that SMEs within your organization relevant comment, either a supplementary comment or a complimentary comment on related to the content of the post. On the day 6, retag some more people, reshare and comment from employees' account. If you do it, you'll have a better engagement rate. You'll have better reach of people to ensure that the purpose of the post is done. Please don't have the post die by posting it and forgetting it. I've seen people actually tagging everybody in the same day. All content happens and then we forget, right? And hence that and the post just not just evaporates, it sublimates. So please put a action that you keep the post alive at least for 6 days. Again, 6 days is just an empirical number. You can actually keep it live for 10 days. For example, you've written a thought leadership blog and you want more people to reach and more people to engage on it. Keep the lifespan of about 10 days. Every second day, every third day, you engage on the post so that the post becomes alive again, so that it reaches more people, it engages more people. The last one is a LinkedIn group. Please subscribe to the relevant LinkedIn groups. Engage there. Best way for you to establish networking and establish thought leadership. Okay. There are lots of active, relevant groups that are related to your business. Participate there. Most of them are curated and they are actually governed by the administrators. Follow the rules and regulations and participate in these groups. The last one is convert. I saw the poll, almost 50% said that we want people to say CTA link, which means they want to do the form fills and conversions. Neeraj will walk us through on 2 things. One is lead generation and sales navigator. Neeraj, first let's do lead generation and then I'll talk about sales navigator. Okay, I should just like to this. If you can walk it through, please.
Yeah. Okay. So lead generation is basically, I mean, there's a lot of companies that are running webinars. There's a lot of companies which don't have websites. There are lead gen forms that is filled, I mean, that are put up on profiles, which people can use to it's mainly to generate leads and create conversions. And it's also it's also used to increase your customer database. And so that's for LinkedIn lead gen forms. So we can break the lead gen forms into different methods. If Shivram, can you go to the next slide?
Yes, please.
So this is one more way of getting lead gens. So it's called sponsored messaging now. It was earlier called LinkedIn sponsored email. So this is the only, this way it allows us to directly promote us to a customer's inbox. And the only great thing about, one of the best ways to use this is the message goes in during or when the person is active. and it doesn't go when the person's not active. It doesn't go into your spam, or it doesn't get like not read by the audience. And there's one thing about the LinkedIn sponsored email. Is that there's a cap on how many people, I mean, how many messages can be sent to a single individual. It cannot be more than 2 messages in a certain period of time. Suppose like 3 or 4 days. There's only two messages that can be sent, and it's again mainly used to event registrations or gain leads.
Sure. Thank you, Neeraj. Yeah. We're talking about text stats, Neeraj, now?
Yes. Yeah. So text stats is something that comes up on your right side of the right-hand side of your LinkedIn desktop. And again, this is also used to, it's the best way. I think it's the most cheapest way for leads, to generate leads. It's to connect with the premium audience of business professionals. And that's, I think, one of the...
And it mostly works better with product companies than services companies. So we recommend a lot of product companies to use it than services companies. Services companies, the sponsored email works better based on our experience.
That's true. Yes.
Okay. So before I go there, we go to Sales Navigator, one of the very powerful tool, very well-used tool, I would say, by LinkedIn people, a very effective tool. I come from a sales background. I'm a sales guy turned into a marketeer. Sales guy as a practitioner, marketing as my business. Sales Navigator is a very intuitive platform. First month is free trial. You don't need to pay any money. After that, it's about 4,995 rupees per month is what you need to pay. Extremely intuitive tool that you can actually segment, organize your prospects, suspects. Based on that, you can have curated communication that you can send it to them, track them. You can look at people who are active, people who are not active, people, what they are actually engaging on social platforms. So it gives you a very nice holistic view of your audiences that you've done as part of the research. Pull them here. And as you actually communicate to them as part of actually lead conversion, use Sales Navigator as an effective tool for connections, conversations, as well as for conversions. It's a one-to-one interactions. For B2B product or services companies, very effective tool if you use it well. In this, please humanize it, right? My email ID is available with you guys to purchase Amsters. Anybody wants any specific tips on Sales Navigator, drop a mail to me. I'll be able to send certain pointers to you. Can be very effectively used for businesses to networking. Eventually, if you want to convert that into conversions. Okay. At this point of time, I want to take the third poll so that we look at it and then we go to our analyze section, please. The third poll is, what according to you is the best way to amplify content on LinkedIn? Paid boost, employee engagement, share and comment, post on LinkedIn groups, or tagging people? What worked for you guys better in terms of amplifying content? We'll take 5 more seconds and then close the poll. Sure. Let's see the responses, please. The organizer. We have almost a split. Everybody been almost a split in terms of some people have seen working paid boost, some people have seen employee engagement, some people have seen posts on LinkedIn groups, some people on tag on board. Reflect back to what we discussed just about a few minutes back, right? All these are absolutely relevant, right? And the way in which our numbers of 20 almost equal distribution is what a brand has to need. We need to ensure that we have employee engagement. We need to ensure that we are on groups. We need to ensure that we're able to do the people tagging in the very smart way and ensure that in the right relevant posts, we need to take the oxygen support, I call it as paid boost, ensure that we have a better reach on them. Now we do all these things. How do we analyze to ensure that we are doing well, both as entrepreneurs as well as marketeers, for ourselves as well as for the brand on the LinkedIn platform? So that's the third part, the research, execute, analyze. So you do 3 types of analyze. One, you do the analyze on the post itself, so that we know that next post, how should I take the learnings from the post analysis? Second is at the page level. So what I should do better in the page. And third, demographic level, which is my audiences. So am I reaching the right people? All three are relevant metrics for us to understand, for us to go back and to the research part again, right? The three metrics that will tell you about performance of your post: impressions and reach, engagement rate, absolutely important, the click-through rate, in terms of, say, a certain post that has got a click-through rate going up to certain CTAs. Very important metrics that minimum these three things you need to do at a post level. At a page level, you need to look at company update stats, the page views and engagement, number of followers. Very important. So for certain industries, number of followers may not be so relevant, but other two things are absolutely relevant at a page level metrics that we need to follow. The two metrics that you need to follow on demographic, the viewer information, the contact and network growth of the person. Very two critical information. So at least this 8 metrics we need to evaluate on a periodic basis. I would say do it on a weekly or a 15-day, once in 2 weeks basis, so that we are able to go back to a research part, ensure that we're able to redefine our audiences, we're able to rework on our execution plan of communication, and then we actually communicate it to the people, enhance our personal branding, come back to our analyze part. Right? Meghna will talk about certain tools that you can use. All of us may not, like me, I'm not a great designer. So I need to use, if I'm doing my personal branding, certain tools. So Meghna will quickly walk over the next 60 seconds about few tools that you guys can use to be effective on LinkedIn. Meghna, please.
Yeah. So certain tools that we can use for making posts and contents and things like that. So one of the great tool that is very on trend right now is Canva for visuals. It's very easy to use tool. You can just go check it out. There are certain, and it has very specific dimensions and all which you can like post on different platforms. One is the main important thing is hashtags that we use on LinkedIn. So for hashtag generator, right tag is the best tool that you can use for that. Going for the next slide.
Yes, please.
And whenever you're posting content on your page or your brand, you need to make sure that if I'm writing something, it should not like resonate exactly what I have like taken my reference from. So to check that, the best tool for that is plagiarism detector. That is one thing that you should make sure that people should not be like guessing that up. And for lead generation, Shivram just talked about Sales Navigator as a tool. So when we go in depth in that, there are a lot of things that needs to be done manually. So to reduce that manual effort, because you will be reaching out to like 1,000 people, 2,000 people a day when you start actually using Sales Navigator. So when you want to reduce that manual work, DocSoup is the best tool that you can use in there.
Yeah, I mean, these are not something that we endorse them. These are some tools that we have used. We have absolutely no commercial relationship with these tools. I mean, we try multiple tools to our brands. So these are just some of our recommendations with our practice. We don't subscribe or sponsor or recommend these products as any aggregator of these tools. Last thing, this is something that I talked to, whether it is my Thai forum or my other angel forum. People have a very stiff approach to LinkedIn. They think that LinkedIn is for stiff business side of people, right? It's business to business, and it's where formal things happen. This is my personal viewpoint. I think I disagree to that. LinkedIn is actually, that is called a social platform, just like Facebook, and it is a social platform. And social platform means it is a human-to-human interaction. So please be as expressive in LinkedIn as you have in other platforms. You can be quirky, you can be humorous, you can be emotional, you can be humanizing, you can be empathetic, you can tell stories through articles, right? All those things are possible, and you should treat LinkedIn as a human-to-human platform. You'll be able to see better results, right? So with that, we actually will take one last poll, please, which is the 4th poll, and then we will quickly wind up the session and leave it for Rachit to coordinate it. What is one thing that you want to do better on? Write more articles, do paid boost, engage on LinkedIn groups, make videos and posts. We'll give 5 more seconds. We are well in time. So, okay, we can close the poll, please. Let's see the results. About 38% wants to make videos and posts. 42% wants to engage on LinkedIn groups, and 22 people write more articles. Let me answer it. A lot of people who have never done articles but want to do articles, they don't write articles because they think that my articles are not will be not good enough for people to engage. Please don't do that. I come from a Tamil medium, so that my English is as good as what I can do be with. So write small articles, write 5 lines, write 10-line articles, good enough. Start there and then start building on, right? So on making videos, you have your smart tools today. Smartphones are quite sufficient for you to make interesting videos. The idea is not to get awards. Idea is to ensure that we're able to communicate content, right? So you don't need great agencies and companies for you to help videos. You have enough tools in our gadgets today, software that are available to make videos and post it. But point is, try, start first. You'll improve by doing the second and third and fourth and fifth, right? So with that, I thank my.
I'd just like to add one more point to that.
Yes, please.
For the video production bit. And so LinkedIn is the 5th best platform for video production and promotion, actually. So I think LinkedIn would be a very good platform for you to like start off with your video promotion or like to try out your video promotions. Just want to add that.
Thanks, Neeraj. As always, it's always my pride to work with NICE and also exciting to work with Zanji people like Meghna and Neeraj. With that, I open up the forum for any tricky questions. We'll see how much we can answer those tricky questions. Thanks for all your patience.
Thank you, Shivram, Neeraj, and Meghna. This session was truly wonderful. And we've got some questions for you in that have come in from our audience. So I'll just read them out. Firstly, Jyoti Prakash Datta asks, how is the cost per lead for lead gen campaigns in LinkedIn compared to Facebook or Instagram lead gen campaigns? Also, which platform is better better for getting quality leads?
You want to take that question first, Neeraj?
Hello.
The question is, how is CPL of LinkedIn compared to Facebook, Instagram, and what do you recommend?
So the cost per lead for LinkedIn, I would suggest, I think is very, very, it's a very target-based metric that would like it define. It's not defined because it really depends on the target audience that you're actually targeting. And if your target is like it's a large audience, I think your cost per lead will actually reduce, and it would, I think, come up to like around 90 to 100 is what I suggest, I think, from my personal experience. And
just to add to Neeraj, I think there's no generally, by and large, the CPL in a LinkedIn is far higher than Facebook and Instagram. Okay, because the purpose of the brands reaching on this platform is very different, right? And the way you target is very different. I would say that if you're able to be spot on in your audience definition, I think I would say use Sales Navigator for a better conversion and use LinkedIn paid boosting for a better awareness and reach. Hence, your CPL or holistically will reduce. The problem is that we only tend to intend the form fills on LinkedIn, and that's when our CPL becomes to be bloated out. If you're able to use the right mixture of Sales Navigator and an awareness reach campaign, you will actually have a much better quality and will have a lesser CPL on LinkedIn.
Thanks, Neeraj and Shivram. That's exactly actually what I've noticed in my work as well, that, when the audience is large, your CPL tends to be on the lower side and vice versa. And, good point about the lead gen forms from Shivram. If we just focus on the lead gen forms, then our CPL tends to, it just keeps getting higher and higher. So we need to look at other means as well. Okay, now moving on to the next question. Srividya Sridharan asks, how important is hashtag usage on LinkedIn? Does it improve reach?
Absolutely. I think Meghna has given us a tool for you to see which hashtags has to be used. I would say use hashtag for 2 reasons. One, as a brand, you create a hashtag over a period of time, you own that hashtag. That's number one, which we call as a brand hashtags. Second is trending hashtags. So you want to ride the wave based on trending hashtags, based on the content that you're trying to put in, right? So use the relevant hashtags, you'll have a better reach. Absolutely. And don't overwhelm hashtags more than about 5 or 6. I've seen people actually having number of hashtags higher than the description word count itself. So please don't do that. Do about 5 to 6 relevant hashtags, you'll have a better reach.
And also to add on to that, it also impacts the LinkedIn algorithm. So that's how LinkedIn works. So using hashtag does impact the algorithm, and it impacts your post. It makes your post reach better people. It reaches the right kind of audience that you're targeting.
Yeah.
Supriya Parashar asks, can we elaborate on the different tools that you've mentioned about?
What I suggest is that my email ID is kupachi@zamsters.com. Please let them please drop a mail to me, because it's difficult for me to elaborate the tools in this session. I'll ensure that I can either drop a mail to them or have a 15 minutes call with them and explain on how these 4 tools that Meghna has explained to them offline, if you don't mind.
Sure thing, Shivram. That helps. Okay. Next, Jayatita asks, what exactly do you mean by tagging people, and how do you do that? Is it effective?
Yeah. So, we have actually a master here, Wipro social media manager. He knows better than tagging than I think most of us, because he's got a million, 100,000 people as part of his employee base. How will you tag people, and whom do you tag people? Follow the lifespan of a post, right? Assuming that you have a context, let's look at an example of an organization which has got a CXO level people, there's a mid-level people, there is a bottom pyramid people, right? Don't tag all people in the same day, number one. Number two is that ensure that you tag people to keep the post live. So on the first day, if the thought leadership post, tag your CXO people. And then after a couple of days, you can have a comment going in there, and then tag 2 people of the employees who are actually relatable to that, right? So in that way, you are actually able to keep the post alive, number one. And number two, tag people who got a better network, right? For example, if I am actually having only 2 people in my network, tagging me is useless, right? So tag people who got a better network, so that the network effect also continues on your post, so the reach is better. So tagging is important, and it can be made effective by applying a typical common sense method. Probably Rachit can add to it, because I'm sure Wipro must be doing it much more effectively because of the size of the organization.
Yes, Shivram, I mean, that's something correct that you mentioned. Sometimes we get requests for tagging up to 20-25 people in a post, and that is something we do not recommend, because then the post tends to look more crowded, and it takes away from the visual appeal from the post. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to stop and engage with a post that has that many people tagged on it. So yeah.
And actually, sometimes you don't have to tag. You can actually use comment section to put tag the people there. You don't have to tag on the people. So for example, you want to tag 10 people. Don't tag 10 people on the post. You can do the first comment. In the first comment, as an author, you can actually add people there, right? In that way, you're still having the effect of network effect there happening.
Right. Thanks for the detailed answer, Shivram. Okay, we've got a few more questions in the chat section. Just give me 1 second. Kailash Tulsi Gajara asks, talk about the LinkedIn newsletter feature that has been rolled out.
We're experimenting it. It's a good tool, I would say. Lot of companies are actually looking to roll out newsletters. We're experimenting with few SaaS B2B products. We'll be able to know the real effectiveness of that in probably a few weeks and a couple of months to come in. But I think it's a good feature that it is a needed feature. Let me put that way, as a practitioner of marketing.
Right. Next, we've got this question from Gayatri. So you mentioned that LinkedIn is the 5th best platform for video promotions. What are the other good platforms for video posts? Also, do you think Instagram must be used for product sales and LinkedIn must be used for service-based businesses?
I will actually have Neeraj to answer the first question. Neeraj, first part of the question, I'll take the second part of the question with your permission.
So I'd say that different social platforms are the best. I think Instagram is one of the best platforms for you to do your video promotions, because Instagram is such a place that it's very image and video driven. Other platforms are like Facebook, your YouTube, Snapchat, even for that sort. And then comes LinkedIn. And I think, Shivram, you can answer the second part now.
Yeah, I mean, there is no, I personally don't think that Instagram is for product and LinkedIn is for services-based business. I think it's based on what, first of all, what business you're in and how do you want to connect to audiences. You need to connect in both the platforms because Instagram will not be able to make your thought leadership, whereas LinkedIn can make your thought leadership. So if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm having for example, say a product, I'm probably able to sell product features and product videos on Instagram, but I'll be able to establish my thought leadership on LinkedIn. And that's absolutely a great combination to be in. So I think there's no one formula for that. You need to be balancing on all the platforms in the right manner, both as thought leaders as well as your products and services. I saw an interesting question, Richit, on Q&A. Can you share some of the successful case studies which show excelling in LinkedIn marketing? Can I take that question?
Sure.
I would say the best example is NiceOrg. NiceOrg, the way they actually communicate on LinkedIn. I work with Ms. Chitra Iyer, ma'am, Arunima, the way they use LinkedIn. I know the amount of team size that they have, but the way they engage the community on LinkedIn, that's the only platform they're very constantly engaged. And today they have a 5,000 plus community. I think you can't have a better success story on how people use LinkedIn, right? I can talk about bigger companies. I'm sure Rachit's Wipro is one of the great example, but we all can relate back to our host today, Nice, who have effectively used with absolutely frugal spend on LinkedIn to gain and engage a great audience on LinkedIn platform.
Thank you, Shivram. That's certainly wonderful, and I definitely agree that Nice is doing a wonderful job, and they'll definitely continue to do that in the future. Okay, we got any more questions here?
We have a few more. I can extend it by 5-10 more minutes based on the organizers because there are 4 more questions available there.
Yeah.
If you're okay with Rachit, let's take the questions with your permission.
I mean, I don't have any problems. Can we continue the session, Chitra?
Typically, we try to wrap it up. So maybe about 5 minutes, and then they can write in the questions and we can have them all collated and send it off to Shivram for his response.
Sure.
Is that okay, Shivram?
Absolutely, Chitra. No worries.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just include one more question here. Okay, let's see this one. Bhavin Karia asks, should we take permission before tagging people?
Depending on the context of what you're trying, where you want to tag in, right? I think, in my opinion, it depends on if it is going to be a very sleazy, salesy kind of a contest where you want to actually use a person tagging, don't do it, take permission. But if you want to celebrate something, you want to share some point of view, which is not quite, political in nature, which is more a thought that you want to share on, I think it's been okay. I mean, I think it's a judgment call you need to take. I have tagged many people without the permission, but I make a choice on why I'm tagging and where I'm tagging them.
Right. Okay, the next question, we've got a couple more here. So Devdutt Das asks, I want to target ladies who wear handloom saris.
That's a statement. So the question is that how do I do it?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's the question.
So my answer to Devdutt is all the best.
Yeah.
I think the question is how to go about it.
I know. I was just. I got that, Chitra. So I want to target ladies who wear handloom saris.
Handloom saris.
I would say actually there are some interesting groups available. There are interesting, if you go to Medium and Quora, there are actually interesting groups that are actually talking about culture, talking about fabrics, right? Participate in those forums, right? Participate in those forums. There are interesting groups on not just LinkedIn, but also on Facebook groups where people talk about handloom saris, talk about Indian culture. Engage with people there. I think you'll be able to target people of relevance to you guys. I don't think that you should be looking at a paid media campaign to target ladies who are wearing handloom saris. I think I would not bet my diamond dollar in getting a better effective targeting there, but use Quora's mediums, use the group effectively, engage with relevant, rich content. You'll be able to target ladies with handloom saris.
Okay. Thank you, Shivram, for this detailed answer. Last question for today. We've got Game Master Praveen who asks, for an experiential tourism company, if we have to focus only on one social platform, which will it be?
If it's just one, I would probably go with the Instagram. You agree with me, Neeraj?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Meghna?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I would say so. If you want me to pick one, I'll probably go with Instagram, but I strongly recommend you to be on LinkedIn. Because experience with tourism actually means that people are actually going to spend money, which means you're talking about the high end of economic spectrum of people who are actually engaged on LinkedIn. So you can establish thought leadership on there and then drive them to engage content about your service on Instagram. So I would say
That's
do
right.
both.
Right. I think that's about it. That does with all the questions.
We have one more question.
One more
from
question.
Gautam
Okay, oh yes, sir. Gautam Dandekar asks, I'm looking to target chefs and hotel general managers. Any tips?
Actually, general managers are quite active. I can take this question with pride, saying that F&B and hospitality is one of our core sectors that we had privilege to work with top brands across the country. All our clients, general managers across the chain, chefs are all active on LinkedIn. My request is that when you're going there and engaging with them, please comment which is relevant to them, right? People just go and like. I've seen actually people's post, a general manager is there, is putting a post that he's got an award or he's got some viewpoint, we just go and like there and sit there, right? I would say write 2 lines, read the article, make relevant points. If a chef is writing about a cuisine or a particular type of a food, read about it, research about it, write 2 lines, the chef will reply back to you or a general manager will reply back to you. By just passively going and commenting there and saying that, I want connections, it doesn't happen. You are getting lost.
Right. I mean, I think it all goes back to your point where you said, it's not just about discovering the audience. We have to connect with the audience as well. And that's where what kind of content we put out comes in.
Yeah.
So yeah. We've got one more question, if we can take that. Mianzi Twinkle asks, how can we reach bigger businesses like hotel or real estate for luxury home decor and lighting products?
There are actually very interesting groups on LinkedIn about this. Very interesting groups on LinkedIn. Please search for that, engage, participate in the groups. Quora and Medium have got some interesting tags on these particular handles. Engage on that piece, right? And a lot of leadership from these big businesses, which are hotels and real estate, are active on LinkedIn. Engage with them. Okay, they write, and today, especially all these people are writing about, they're all actually doing personal branding. So you engage with them, write relevant comment, send an email to them with your perspective. Don't send an email saying that we want to sell products, right? Send an email with them with a narrative, right? Let's never sell first. Let's connect with people, understand, and let them be interested to engage with you, and then you sell. It worked for me. I mean, I've been selling for about 28, 29 years now. I never sell in the first call. I mean, my job is not to sell. My job is to have conversations. And if I'm honest and engaging with relevant content, the sale will happen. That's my personal belief.
Right. Thanks, Shivram. I think, yeah, those are all the questions we have. And yeah, thank you for taking the time and answering all the questions of our audience.
Thanks, Rachit. Thanks for moderating it. And thanks, Chitra, for, as always, your bright smile. And thanks, Nice, for a great platform. And thanks.
Thank you, Shivram. Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Meghna. A terrific session. And I have engaged with Zamstars for a while now. And it's never without value add. So once again, you proved that with this session as well. Great value add. And to the audience, please look up our sessions on the NiceOrg YouTube channel. And if you have missed some parts of this, or if you want your co-founders to see this session, please send them the link. I'm sure they'll find a lot of value in this. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we wrap the session.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.